Well, it's a pleasure right now to be joined by UFC President Dana White. Dana, thanks so much for your time on Fox.
Thanks for having me.
Now, we're here in Abu Dhabi for one reason, of course, UFC 308 this Sunday at 5 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And Aussies are very, very interested in the co-main event, particularly for this. Our guy, Robert Whittaker, in action. He's already a legend of the sport. Dana, can I just get your thoughts on Rob as a fighter and as a man?
Yeah, so on his season of The Ultimate Fighter, I literally told Lorenzo Fertitta, this guy's going to be a world champion someday. I saw it on that season. He's lived up to all my expectations and hype, and great fighter and an even better human being. I like him a lot.
It was a very tough fight for him this weekend, of course, taking on the undefeated Khamzat Chimaev. How dangerous is this fight for Rob?
It's a tough fight for both guys. I think that this is probably, if you look at what Rob has done and accomplished and who he's fought, this is one of his toughest tests, and there's no doubt about it that this is definitely Khamzat's toughest test.
I spoke to Daniel Cormier yesterday, and he was telling me that if Rob is to emerge victorious against Khamzat this weekend, he absolutely should be the number one contender. How do you feel about that?
There's no doubt about it. Even though, again, I don't know if you've heard over in Australia, but I've been bitching nonstop about the rankings. Even though where they have Khamzat ranked, Khamzat is without a doubt one of the most dangerous, if not the most dangerous guy in that division. So this is a massive fight for Whittaker, and it's a massive fight for Khamzat, which is what makes this fight so great.
Would a big win for either of these guys allow them to jump Sean Strickland in the line for the fight against Dricus du Plessis?
I don't know about that. To talk about jumping guys in the line right now, let's see how the fight plays out. Let's see how the fight, it's like, if you ask me, going into the Khalil Roundtree Pereira fight, you knew it was going to be good, right? You didn't know how good. And then once you get in there and you see it, we got to see how it plays out before we start talking about jumping lines and stuff like that and who would get the next title shot. In this division, this is the baddest fight that you could possibly make right now. So if whoever wins, it's a good thing for them.
Well, we're hoping for a big Rob win, but somebody else who figures into the UFC 308 event is Alexander Volkanovski, of course. He won't be fighting, but he'll take on the winner of the main event. Could I get your opinion on Volk and his legacy and where he stands currently in his career?
Yeah, it's funny because we were talking about Topuria. Actually, this is me and my friends this weekend. We were talking about it this week. And when you think about the fact that you have to give Topuria so much respect because of how he beat Volkanovski. That's how much everybody thinks of Volkanovski. And, he's one of the greatest of all time. I mean, what that guy has accomplished in his career, including the fight with Islam, I don't know. I don't know what else to say to him other than, yeah, he's one of the greatest ever.
Well, Dana, let me tell you, Volk is a national hero back home.
Should be.
Yeah, he absolutely is. Do you get that same sense over in the States and internationally?
The world, 100%. He not only, he should be in Australia, but he is globally too. I mean, everybody loves and respects him. And again, if you look at just his size and you look at the things that he's accomplished outside of MMA personally, and then to do what he's done here it's unbelievable. Yeah, he's one of the all-time greats.
Well, he'll look to be headlining, hopefully, UFC 312 in Sydney in February. Can you give us any news as to what Aussie fans can look forward to on that card? I mean, Jack Della Maddalena has been rumoured to fight Kamaru Usman on that card. Is that taking place?
And when you look at, what Alex Pereira has accomplished, Volk was doing the same thing at that time. I mean, fighting multiple times back to back to back, taking on, the toughest guys in the world in both divisions. So, and yes, I don't know if that fight's happening yet. If it was, we would announce it. I love when you guys do this to me.
Well, I was going to ask you about Israel Adesanya, Kaya Bahalio, but I guess you can't confirm that either.
Yeah, pump the brakes.
Maybe I will. But Australia has always been a great breeding ground for talent and, of course, a great spot with great support for the UFC. Where does Australia sit for you, I guess, in the world of MMA?
Well, it's incredible because I remember a time when we were looking at Australia and we were looking to, get into that market. And literally there was only Elvis Sinisic, right?
Richie Vass.
Huh?
Richie Vasilik as well, a few others.
Now if you look at Australia, which isn't a very big place, and you look at the talent coming out of there, and I'm talking about top 10 and multiple world champions coming out of that region. It's incredible how that it is absolutely blown up there in such a short amount of time. You think about the UFC in the Zuffa era, when me and the Fertittas got into it, you're talking about like 25 years.
Yeah.
And Australia's piece of that history is much, much smaller. And how far you guys have come in such a short amount of time is unbelievable.
Yeah, it's actually...
And not just the talent, but the coaches and the gyms.
Yeah.
And it's fascinating.
It's phenomenal to think that, like, for a population so small,
100%.
You know, there was a period of time there, I know they didn't necessarily overlap, but Volk and Rob were champions at the same time. 2 of the 8 divisions were occupied by Aussies.
Yep. And if you look at the Ultimate Fighter, when we did the smashes, you know, yeah. UK versus Australia, and just how much it is blown up there, and how much talent is coming out of that region. It's really amazing. It really is. But I say this all the time. When you think about Australia, I mean, some tough people come from Australia. I mean, literally everything that can kill you is in that country, from spiders to friggin' the water. I mean, everything that can kill you is in Australia. So it makes sense at the same time.
Will you be there in February?
I will.
Well, we can't wait to see that. Dana, give us the hard sell for this weekend. Why should everybody watching right now across Australia...
If I got to sell you on this fight, don't watch it, okay? Do not watch this fight if you don't already know why you should watch it. Watch something else. How's that for a hard sell?
That's a great job. Dana White, thanks so much for your time on Fox, mate.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it.
Pleasure.